Hi everybody, welcome back to Dynamic Forms Studio. I'm Leandro and this is video number 4 if I'm not mistaken. We are going to continue the sculpt work on this figure. I'm going to do a 360 so you guys can see what it's looking like right now. And then we're gonna get started, okay? So there's a few rough areas. On the last video, we fill up the frame that we created. And today I would like to refine in some areas. And we're gonna start the hot sanding technique. So if you look closely, you can see that it's very rough surface, and to fix the rough surface, we're going to use. I'm going to put him down because he's not standing at this moment. Excuse me. So we're going to use. This is like drywall sanding sponge. So you guys can use this. This is the finest they have as far as drywall sand sponge. And what I like to do with it is I kind of cut it in strips like this. Okay, so basically they come like, sometimes they can come half size, like a 4-inch or 8-inch. I don't know how long this sponge pad is, but it comes this size. And then I use a knife and I cut it in strips like this. That way I can just use one at a time. But before I start sanding, I want to show you guys this real quick, kind of closer. See how rough the surface is right now of the sculpture? So when you use your sand sponge and it's this rough, it will really destroy your sponge very quickly. And you know, the sponges are not cheap, so just so you don't waste a lot of material while you're creating your sculpture, I would recommend we kind of smooth a little bit around without the sponge first, and like kind of more like what you see here on the chest. See how it's a little less rough than the legs? If you look on the chest, there's a little less roughness on the chest than there is on the legs. So what we can do is kind of smooth things around the legs and around the whole figure with fire and a spatula, metal spatula. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm gonna start with the chest area, do a little bit more refining. when you're doing this part of the work, remember to be gentle, because if you warm this area too much on over the fire, what the way this wax behaves, you warm up the surface and the heat will slowly travel through the wax, and the next thing you know, if you warm up for too long, when you're scraping, you push a little hard and the leg can break. So remember to not keep on under the flame for too long. So I'm happy with this cleanup we did, and I'm gonna do a little bit on the back, and then we'll start using the sponge. So perfect. So now the next part, after we go around the figure with the spatula or a rake, warm up the figure on the fire, warm up your spatula, scrape all the roughness that you can, it's time to start using a sand sponge. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is a little tricky, not complicated, just a little tricky. So you're gonna warm up your sand sponge real quick on the fire. Like, you're just gonna do a few passes. Like, let me show you guys. Just do like 1, 2, 3. Okay, don't sit there because you will catch on fire, of course. So just do 1, 2, 3. You're just trying to warm up the surface of the sand, and to prolong the life of your sand sponge, go ahead and warm up the area that you're gonna soften as well. So let me try to bring it close so we can see the before and after. So here you can see how rough it is. Let's work on the chest and then we'll come back. Okay, so what I'll do, I will warm up the sponge and the sculpture over the fire. So I'm doing like a few passes over the fire with the sponge, and then I come and I sand it down. Sometimes you can even like get rid of holes, little holes, by doing this, but it's not the focus right now. Let me bring it a little closer so now you guys can see how it's much smoother than before, right? So let's do the arm here that is really rough. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Good enough for now. Let me bring it closer so you guys can see. See, it's much softer now than before. Still looks really rough, but that's part of the deal. Now let's do his left arm. Same idea, just come here gently, scrape a little bit or sand it. look what happened here. Because I'm putting pressure, holding it down, it broke the one of the foot here broke. So I'm gonna warm up like this real quick. Maybe bring the two of them back together. I can warm up both parts, bring them back together like this. Oops, sorry. All I'm doing is just trying to glue it back together. Okay. All right. I'm gonna warm up my knife. I'm going to try to bring the two pieces back together by scraping. I have to give it a second to cool off. So let's leave it alone for now. And I'll work on this area with the sand sponge. I'm gonna alternate between legs because you don't want this leg to get so warm that the wax starts softening all around. So I'll leave that alone for a minute, work on this one. On this area, then I'll work here, let that cool off, then work here. That way you let these areas rest and cool off. Starting to look a little bit better. Now, while that one rests, let's work on the lower leg here real quick with the sponge. Okay? So when your sponge starts crumbling like on the sides, it's time to use another side, because if you're trying to reuse your wax, these little pieces will get on your sculpture, and then when you're sculpting detail, they will be a pain in the neck. They will get in your way. It has happened to me before, so I'm just gonna change to a clean side of the sponge at this time. So the goal now is to make sure he looks, you know, proportionally right. Once we get that down, then we can start refining. But at this time, mostly I'm gonna take a look at it and use my spatula and remove material from areas that I believe are sticking out too much or doesn't have enough material. We can remove and add at this point. Before we even go there, as far as removing material from one arm and then like making it more, you know, balanced as far as volume goes, let's address the boots, because it's not very sturdy at this point. So I'm going to put a little bit more material and try to give them a better looking pair of boots, just so we can stand them a little bit better. Because the ankles are soft and warm, the sculpture is leaning forward. So look, he's leaning that way because it's soft. So I'm bringing it back and pushing the feet down. I may have to let it cool off, then come back as far as fixing this area. Let me just warm up my spatula. Okay. Like on small areas, it is hard to work because either the wax is too fragile or it's too soft and it starts breaking on you. So I just put more mass, basically. Nothing, I'm not working on the anatomy or on the exact look of the boots. Right now I just want material there to hold them standing. It looks like it worked. Let me bend him backwards a little bit. That's what I'm doing. I'm holding him down and bending slowly backwards. Now I think my best bet is to let it cool off a little bit. Try to show you guys what it's looking like. Okay, so we sand it all down to make it a little less rough, and now we're trying to give him a little more body as far as the feet goes, so he can stand on its own. Another way that we can do some smoothing around is using the torch. So I can come here if there's areas that I feel they're too rough. Just, use your torch and warm it up. Oops, did you see that? So the foot, it's still soft, see? So he was leaning forward. So what I need to do is find a position here that I find comparable as far as standing goes, right there. And now I'm going to take them off and just hold them here until this two ankles cool off. Okay, I was saying that this area is a little rough. I warm up with my torch and just move material around and fix it. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'm going to try and use my spatula to shape the arm. Now I'm a little more concerned about anatomy. Okay. For example, I can see there's a lump here, there's a lump right here. So I'm gonna try to make sure it's more like a cylindrical shape, like a biceps that should be here. Nothing too pronounced. I can always look on the picture behind the sculpture here. So see the picture back there? I can always try to get the light not to interfere with what we're doing. Sorry. So I can always look on the reference on the wall and come here and move things around. So this part of the process, once more, is very tedious, takes time. So hang in there. So now it's all about your artistic ability and your notion of, is this too thick, is this too small. Okay, so you just have to kind of eyeball it and little by little remove, add. That's kind of what I'm going to do now. Another thing that is wrong is that the arm is like this, and that's not how our arm behaves, right? So let's warm up here real quick. I'll explain what I mean in a minute. So right now, because I traced the paper, the arm is like straight, and that's not how it really the arm should be when you're just holding your hands around your waist, the way our picture is. So we're gonna fix that. So normally oops, you broke. That's okay. That's no problem. That's actually a good thing, because now we can warm up and place the arm where it should go. The arm should go a little bit back. See, it was like right here, parallel with the sculpture, but nobody stands straight like that. So the arm goes a little bit back this way, and then his forearm goes more like this way. So by breaking it here, we can do that movement. So let's do that. So when we're holding our fists over our waist, our arm comes back a little bit, and then the forearm goes that way. See right here now, if you look sideways, you can tell that the arm comes more like to the back, and then the forearm should go forward, touching his waist. And then if you look at the previous arm on the other side, see, it's just like straight. But that's not how we stand. So that's just little things that you have to keep in mind. Depending on, and you can take pictures of yourself on the mirror, because we're looking at a flat picture on the wall. It's hard to figure out where things should go. So you can be your best reference by taking a picture of yourself, or asking somebody to take a picture of yourself in different angles on the same pose of your sculpture. It will help you know, like, okay, how does the arm move when it's on the sides, and is it flat with the body, is it straight? So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you give the proper movement to the sculpture. All right, I think that's good there. One thing that I noticed when I move the arm, now it's sticking out too far back. So what I normally do, I remove it, and I have to cut a little bit of the material off. I think that's better. And now we have to do the same thing with the elbow to bring the hands back towards his body. So here's what I was trying to explain. See, now the arm, it's more on the right place. Look how this side, the arm is parallel with the body, and that's completely unrealistic. So you can finish a sculpture like this, but if you create the, the movement of the body, that's what's going to give it more of a realistic look to it, I guess, if that's for lack of better way to explain what I'm trying to say. But but see how cool now the arm is going back a little bit this way and the forearm is going forward. Exactly what I was looking for. Okay, all right, so that's great. Now I think we should do the same thing on the other side. Same thing we did here, we'll do it here. So I'm going to warm up this area and cut the arm off, warm up this area and cut the elbow off. The light may be tricking you guys, I'm not sure. Sometimes light can trick our eyes. But I'll put them on a base here and we can do a 360 and take a look if it's coming the way we want it to look like. Let me just go ahead and look straight. Start moving. See, he's kind of leaning forward right now. See what I mean? So I'm gonna have to fix that. It'll be easy. But I'm happy so far. So the goal now is to put them in the right position, you know, put things where they should go, come out of the 2D template that we originally started with, and make him look more like he's out of the paper. Okay, once again, now we're standing where we should stand, right there. What do you guys think? I think we're on the right direction. Okay. Now this, one thing I've noticed, my utility belt is sticking out too much, and it's sometimes it could throw you off. So I'm gonna warm it up and fix that. All right, this is not to be precise. It's just that it was sticking out too much and it was a little throwing me off. Okay, I feel a little bit better now. Okay. Okay. Trying to have a feel for it. See if I need to add more material to his torso, but I don't think so. Now let's remove a little bit of the material here on the side. It's too much. Just by looking at my reference on the wall, I can tell I have too much rib cage going out. Better. Do the same thing on the other side. Not much, but a little. Okay, again, I think it's better now. And then I can tell that this leg needs to, I need to remove material off this leg for a little bit. So right here, look, I have too much, and it sounds silly, but it's enough to throw me off as far as proportions. Yeah, that's better. And now over here on the belt, on the shorts, I want to remove material right here. It's too much. Come on. There we go. Okay. So I'm just eyeballing here and there. Remove from one area, add to another. Okay. Okay. Now I feel like I need to address the chest area here. Yeah. It feels to me that I need a little more volume on this side. So I'm gonna do the same thing, add more volume to the other side. Okay. It may be a little hard for you guys to tell, but it feels to me that that side is sticking more out that way than this one. So I'm gonna add a little bit here and see what it looks like. Yeah. Okay. It looks like I got it. Looks like this makes sense. Okay, so I'm trying to use the light to help me. Again, sometimes it's not a bad idea for you to run your light around your sculpture to see which areas need attention, because the lighting can always trick your eyes. Okay, just by looking at it, I like it. I think his head is a little too big, so we're gonna address that pretty soon. And that's another thing that can totally throw you off. Having a head too big, it starts throwing you off around the idea. Okay, let me see here. Do I have a way to do this? I think I do. Let me try to reposition my light, and by repositioning it, I will have a better idea of what it's looking like. Because right now, my lighting is definitely tricking me. Okay, I think that helped. My spatula is very warm, so I'm gonna use it around here real quick to just fix this rough patch. When you realize that a certain area of your sculpture, see like the chest here is sticking out forward too much, should be back. So all I'm going to do is warm up on the fire. And then warm up my knife and cut it. I removed some of the material that was sticking out. Looks a little more natural now. We'll do a little bit of adjustment on the other side to match. Starting to improve, I believe. So now, before, because I had a template in 2D, everything was pushed forward. Now we're kind of giving it that natural curve that the body has. So right here it was sticking out. I cut it, and now I'm just trying to give it more of a natural look. Okay? I can tell that the same thing is happening here with his rib cage. So let's fix that. So I can remove some of the material here, like this. Okay, that's good for now. Okay, let me warm up the spatula real quick. And okay, I think I have mentioned this before. You don't want to spend too much time in just one area the whole time. Let's address the head. Let's leave this alone for now. Later on, when we come back, we'll have an idea of what needs attention. Right now, we kind of rounded his chest, pushed the arms backwards, forearms forward, And now we're gonna address the size of the head, which is a little bit off, and that could be something that will definitely throw you off. Before moving to the head, I'm just gonna smooth things around here real quick, just to keep a certain flow going. We can leave that alone for a moment, and we can address the head, which we'll do it right now real quick. I'm gonna start with the sides of the head. It has too much material. Now, I want to get the shape of the cowl correct. And I think the best way for me to do that is using my waxer. So it's really hard to do this and find the right angle for the camera. I'm so sorry. But at least you can have an idea. So all I'm doing is moving things around, making sure I get that shape of the head correct. You don't want to add any details at this point, because if you don't get the size of the head correct and you start detailing right off the bat, you're just gonna have a hard time, because you're gonna notice later, oh, I put so much effort into the head and now the head is too big or the head is too small. So let's not focus on the head too much. As far as detail goes, the focus here is size. Is the head the right size?